So one of the challenges we face in international development is this persistent agricultural yield gap that we find. And what that basically means is that farmers are not producing very much relative to what their potential production could be. And so really the issue is why does this yield gap persist? It has effects on obviously farmers' food security and also their welfare, especially for smallholder farmers in West African contexts. We've taken a market-based approach in thinking about what are the constraints on the demand side and what are the constraints on the supply side that create missing markets. It's not just a problem of farmers, but it's also a problem of how to organize the market on the supply side as well to make markets in rural areas that don't have them. There's very high transportation costs and oftentimes scattered demand, and so ag input dealers may not know if farmers are interested in purchasing, or it might not be cost effective or profitable for them to go to small villages if they only are servicing one or two farmers. So the village input fair has kind of two secret ingredients in thinking about how to create markets. One is with respect to timing, and the other is with respect to place. And this village input fair model organizes agricultural markets for farmers just after the post-harvest period where they have higher liquidity, and creates a purchase order system where farmers are able to put a 10% deposit down in the post-harvest period and then receive inputs during the planting season when they need them to sow their fields and to produce their crops. One of the things we know about agricultural intensification is that oftentimes it comes with environmental consequences. So one of the things we're trying to refine in the village input fair model in the context of Ghana and that FID is supporting is whether we can use village input fairs as a platform to introduce opportunities for farmers to adopt things like organic inputs and other types of products that might help them mitigate climate change. If we can develop a private sector strategy that relies on capturing a little bit of the value that's created from these markets so that they're sustainable, then we have a really interesting kind of strategy in thinking about how to scale in a different approach that doesn't rely on necessarily external resources for the long-term sustainability of the intervention. So when we think about scaling, we want to first, before we scale something, have a proof of concept, but also then think about what are the conditions or what are the factors that might encourage scale up in other different types of contexts. So in terms of next steps, we're building social enterprises that will operationalize and be the things that last after the research is done, so that they can be the engines of scaling.